Monday, ABC's World News Tonight focuses on a warning from science. Invisible magnetic fields from electric power lines around your home could be linked to cancer, especially in children.
Now what do I do?
Expect the world of ABC News.
I'm Mike Binkley. Topping the Eyewitness News update this Sunday, a weekend of deer hunting in Minnesota has caused the deaths of 3 men. We'll have details. A terrorist bombing kills many and injures more in Northern Ireland during Remembrance Day services. And we'll show you how Minnesotans turned the World Series win into a big plus for the state.
And I'll tell you how far the temperatures will dip this week in 5's first forecast.
In sports, Wade Wilson rescues the Vikings, which leads us to the question, who's their starting quarterback?
Those stories and a look at a Viking quarterback who's not letting diabetes get him down. All next on the Eyewitness News Update.
This is Auto Express, and this is our tire advantage. Top-line brands at bottom-line prices. You won't beat it at Sears or Goodyear or Kmart. We won't be undersold on any advertised tire we sell. Choose from Michelin, General, BF Goodrich, Kelly Springfield, or Bridgestone. Plus, we install in 59 minutes or less.
Top-line brands at bottom-line prices. Right from a reward.
Now, Michelin's XA4 radial tire as low as $33.99.
Most health plans talk about choice, but when you go to their clinic, your choices quietly slip away. You may be losing the right to choose your own doctor, to change doctors anytime, to see a specialist without a referral. Only one health plan is working to preserve these freedoms for you, PHP. And if you don't have the freedom to choose, what do you have?
If you've ever dreamed of owning a Porsche, it's nice to know that some dreams come true faster than others.
See the 924S at your local Twin Cities Porsche dealer today.
You're watching KSTP-TV, Minnesota's News Channel 5. Live from Minnesota's News Channel, KSTP Channel 5, Mike Binkley, Karen Falloon, and Mark Stevens bring you the Eyewitness News Update.
Good evening, everyone. The first weekend of the Minnesota deer hunting season is drawing to a close now, with several hunters arriving back with their deer tonight. But this weekend has also been marred by the usual number of hunting-related accidents. 3 deaths have been reported across the state, including a Twin Cities man shot to death, 40-year-old Gerald Michaels of St. Louis Park, and 2 others who suffered heart attacks. 3 others were injured by buckshot, including 2 from the Twin Cities, Almond Krebs of Wayzata and Jack Smith of Anoka County. Meanwhile, thousands more like these 3 from Hugo arrived back happy tonight with something to show for their weekend. More than 400,000 hunting licenses were issued in Minnesota, and from the looks of things on the highway, quite a few deer were captured.
Well, I seen quite a few deer coming back, yes. Most vehicles had 1, but seen 1 with 3 on it.
And Emery says he'll be back out again next weekend. As hunters head homeward tonight after a big weekend, authorities are reporting surprisingly light traffic. But come Monday morning, traffic jams will be the norm, especially in the southwestern suburbs. John Wingate reports on the growing pains of these growing communities.
For commuters in Eden Prairie, Chaska, and Chanhassen, the traffic jams last longer than most because the communities have literally outgrown their major roadways. Highways 5, 169, and 212 are the major arteries serving the southwest suburbs. But they were built 40 years ago, and this was farm country. Now this area represents one of the fastest growing spots in the state. Commuters pay the price. Delays are common, with traffic volume 4 times what it should be. And the accident rate has skyrocketed. Highway officials say the problem is felt elsewhere, too.
When a major arterial like that gets way over capacity, then the traffic, of course, starts spilling over onto lesser roads that are even less capable of handling traffic. The whole system feels the brunt of this thing.
Crawford says it would cost $50 million to totally upgrade Highways 5, 169, and 212. But with federal and state funding cutbacks, the legislature's been unable to okay the work. Business leaders hope something is done before the bad roads begin to affect economic growth.
A professional here working in Eden Prairie is just as important as a tourist fishing up in northern Minnesota, and they're going to have to balance the economics.
Community leaders will take their concerns about highway congestion to a meeting of state lawmakers tomorrow. They're hoping for help from the legislature next session, but any significant relief is still years away, with a bad traffic situation getting worse. John Wingate for the Eyewitness News Update in Eden Prairie.
Elsewhere tonight, Wisconsin authorities are trying to put the pieces together in an unusual death. The nude body of a young black man was found in a pasture near Roberts, Wisconsin this afternoon. The St. Croix County coroner says the body had no marks on it resembling those of an assault. The body was found by a youth on an all-terrain vehicle. An autopsy tomorrow is expected to answer more questions. An Oak Park Heights prison guard is resigned after she admitted to having an unprofessional relationship with an inmate. Warden Frank Wood tells Eyewitness News that allegations she may have supplied the inmate with drugs or weapons also are being investigated. In Washington, Republicans would like to know who's responsible for Judge Douglas Ginsburg's nomination to the Supreme Court. Party members spent the day backbiting, wondering why Chief of Staff Howard Baker didn't protect the president from Ginsburg, and why Attorney General Edwin Meese was a prime supporter of two failed nominees.
I don't think this is Meese's fault. I think this is the fault of people in the White House who run for cover every time any real difficulty comes up. We've seen it time after time. I've made excuses for it time after time, and I'm getting sick of it.
Ginsburg withdrew his candidacy for the bench yesterday after admitting he had smoked marijuana in the past. Meanwhile, in Des Moines, the question was posed to Democratic candidates there campaigning for president. Have they ever smoked pot?
I've never tried marijuana, coke, heroin. I did not say it self-righteously. I made the judgment a long time ago not to.
I was never a participant, but I don't claim any great virtue, and I shouldn't be elected president of the United States simply because I haven't used marijuana.
Vice President George Bush was in town, too, addressing the issue. Bush says the use of marijuana shouldn't disqualify someone from serving in public office. When he was asked whether he had ever smoked pot, he replied, quote, "No, but I'd hate to speak for my kids." President Reagan is expected to quickly name a third nominee for the High Court, but the Ginsburg withdrawal doesn't represent the first time that a president has had to make a third nomination for the bench. President Nixon did. He nominated Judge Clement Haynsworth Jr. in 1969 and Judge Harold Carswell in 1970. Both were rejected as they tried to fill the seat vacated by Justice Abe Fortas. The seat was eventually filled by Justice Harry Blackmun of Minnesota. A ceremony commemorating the war dead of nearly 70 years ago turned into a scene of bloodshed and destruction in Northern Ireland. The tragedy leads our look around the world tonight. A bystander with a home video camera caught the moments after a homemade bomb went off, killing 11 people and injuring 53. It exploded as hundreds of people gathered for Remembrance Day services. The Irish Republican Army is the chief suspect. A Palestinian terrorist group led by the notorious Abu Nidal claims it hijacked a boat off the coast of Israel, taking 6 Israeli citizens and 2 children hostages. There's been no confirmation of the hijacking. In Jordan, Arab leaders are meeting in a rare summit to talk about how to end the Iran-Iraq war. 1 crewman is dead and 11 are hurt after 2 trains collided head-on near the Utah border. Authorities say a signal may not have been working to order the train to stop. Forest fires across the South continue to belch black smoke into the night. 180,000 acres have burned in 13 states from Virginia to Texas. Minnesota firefighting reinforcements are on hand to help. The National Guard has also been called in. The ground shook in California again this morning, but it wasn't another earthquake. Scientists detonated 6 tons of dynamite underground to learn more about quakes. Coming up on the update, we'll find out what's shaking in weather. Karen?
I think the word is shivering, and it will be us as some of the coldest temperatures so far this season are on their way. Mark?
Karen, coming up in sports, the Vikings return to their winning ways using Wade, their backup. And the North Stars look for a turnaround on the road at the always unfriendly Chicago Stadium. And expanded sports coming up.
All right, and when we come back, we'll find out how all the good feelings about the Dome after the Twins' World Series win are translating into a bonus for Minnesota's future. And we'll find out how one Vikings quarterback is making it despite having diabetes.
Our last blast sale is on at Towsley Subaru. We have so much good news, we need all this commercial.
Now, wait a minute. We have just as much good news here at Towsley Ford.
We've made a special purchase of 150 Subarus, 100 four-wheel drives, wagons, hatchbacks, sedans, all real Minnesota cars with cash back up to $1,500.
Yes, but here at
The prices are so low. You can buy a brand new 87 four-wheel drive Subaru for only $69.95. I repeat, $69.95. But only during this last blast sale while they last. Towsley Subaru, White Bear Lake.
Some of these, a bunch of those.
Hey, what's going on?
It's Mills Sleep Farm stock-up sale. Work and sport boots are built tough to take it.
The men's leather outdoorsman boot is waterproof, with slip-resistant Indy 500 soles, all for only $69.88. And these men's waterproof leather boots with padded collar are just $55.88. And keep your feet warm and comfortable with Fox River Olefin socks, now only $239 a pair.
So come in and watch our prices tumble, now during the stock-up sale at Mills Fleet Farm.
Today's high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Castrol GTX now at all Target stores.
The cheers resounded once again in the Metrodome today, but of course it wasn't baseball the fans were cheering, but football. More than 57,000 people came to see the Minnesota Vikings beat the Raiders. But there are plenty of other teams willing to play before a big Minnesota crowd. State officials are taking advantage of the good press the World Series gave Minnesota, and they're about to embark on a major campaign to bring championship sporting events here. Pat Milan reports on the big push that begins this week.
This is a special moment in Minnesota sports history.
To Gaetti, for the first time ever, the Minnesota Twins are the world champions.
And if the state gets its way, you can expect many more special moments to come. Minnesota is already in the running for a 1992 Super Bowl. The NCAA Final Four for basketball will be held in the Dome that same year. But state officials say they're not satisfied. They intend to go after 20 other major sporting events and festivals.
The positive media attention that we had nationally for that 2-week period really established